Welcome to Money Talks with Cathy Yang, your intel on the Philippine markets and the economy. In the headlines today, the campaign period for the 2025 midterm elections begins. We check on the situation from our mobile journalist, Mary Reyes. A new set of higher tariffs has been signed by U.S. President Donald Trump. U.S. markets rose. We'll find out how this will affect local trading. Our analyst, Rastine Mercado of China Bank Securities, joins us. And in honor of St. Bridget's Day, we check out a traditional Irish dance. The Irish ambassador to the Philippines, Emma Hickey, talks about bilateral relations between the two countries. Candidates and party list groups hit the trail as the campaign period begins today. The 90-day campaign period kicks off and will end on May 10, with only a 2-day pause for Holy Week on April 17 and 18. But heads up, the Commission on Elections reminds everybody to follow the rules. Overspending or using illegal campaign materials could lead to disqualification and even jail time. Local campaigns start on March 28th, so expect more activity then. Meanwhile, the Philippine National Police is tightening security to ensure safe and fair elections. The countdown to Election Day is on. Stay informed and get involved. And speaking of campaigns, the Alyansa para sa Bagong Pilipinas rally kicks off today in Lawag City. For the latest, let's check in with our mobile journalist, Mary Reyes, live on the ground. So what's going on there, Mary?
So far, Ms. Cathy, we are on our way to the press con. It will go on around 1 o'clock p.m. and then yung pinaka-inaabangan ng lahat, which is the rally, the main program for this day for the Alyansa para sa Bagong Pilipinas. It will take place around 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock p.m. onwards at the Ilocos Norte Centennial Arena here in Lawag. So far, sa nakita natin kanina, unti-unti pa lang na dumarating yung mga bisita, yung mga supporters, and yung event sa kanila, kahit alam nila na mamayang tanghali pa ito, around 7 a.m. ay nandito na raw sila at nag-aabang for their chance na makaupo sa mas malapit doon sa stage. Outside the arena, meron ding nakaset up doon na isa pang stage na para siyang satellite venue because they're expecting na bukod doon sa 5,000 na seat capacity ng arena, aabot pa raw sa labas mismo nitong Ilocos Norte Centennial Arena sa Lawag yung dami ng mga taong pupunta. So later on, we will be seeing yung 12 members ng senatorial slate of the administration, which is composed of former DLLG Secretary Benhur Abalos, former Makati Mayor Abby Binay, senatorial re-electionist Beth Bong Revilla, Senator Pia Cayetano, Lito Lapid, Ping Lacson, Manny Pacquiao, Senator Amy Marcos, hopefully. Pero so far, ang nasabi niya, she's still considering yung pag-join today sa proclamation rally nila. Later on, makikita rin natin si Senatorial Beth Camille Villar, Francis Tolentino, Erwin Tulfo, who is leading the Pulse Asia Survey Pulse, and Vicente Tito Soto. Pero for now, we're still waiting kung ano nga ba yung mga sorpresa at mga pasabog na sinasabi nila. Dahil according sa mga post ng Alyansa ay meron daw mga guest performers and posible mga bibisita pa later on.
Raymond, tell us kung ano ba yung mood talaga on the ground dahil yung pangangampanya, hindi ba yung nagsimula na yan nung hindi pa official, yung pangangampanya para sa national elective post?
Yes, Ms. Cathy. So far, mas all out na raw sila ngayon kasi alam na nila na start na talaga ng campaign period. And doon sa pagpunta natin sa paligid mismo ng Centennial Arena, for example, dito sa highway na ito, marami nang nakapaskil doon sa mga gilid-gilid na mga posters. And they're expecting na mas darami pa raw ito since nag-start na yung pinaka-campaign period. Pero again, ilan sa kanila, suot na nila yung kanilang mga t-shirts supporting yung specific na senatorial bets nila. And ready na raw sila na mag-door-to-door para nga maikampanya ang mga ito.
Okay, maraming salamat. Mary Reyes joining us live from Lawag, our mobile journalist there covering the campaign in the national and midterm elections. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas says the country's dollar reserves dipped in January. Data showed gross international reserves fell to $103 billion, down 3% from December. This was because of foreign exchange operations and debt payments. Despite this, reserves can still cover over 3 times short debt and 7 months of imports. Rizal Commercial Banking Corporation Chief Economist Mike Ricafort links the decline to peso volatility. Still, he expects remittances, BPO revenues, exports, and tourism to help boost revenues. By year-end, the central bank expects reserves to reach $110 billion. For more details, visit Business World online. And good news for motorists, fuel is cheaper this week. Gasoline and diesel go down by 10 centavos per liter, while kerosene will drop by 30 centavos per liter. Now, this marks the 3rd straight week of price cuts for diesel and kerosene. Caltex, Petron, Sea Oil, and Shell confirmed the adjustments in separate advisories. Meanwhile, Clean Fuel, Petrogas, PTT, and Uni Oil will apply the same rollback except for kerosene. Amid U.S. President Donald Trump's opposed disruptive and radical foreign policies, will Philippine government carry on with its collaborative strategy under the Open Government Partnership? We'll find out in this excerpt of my exclusive chat with Philippine Budget Chief Amena Pangandaman.
Well, first, we are all aware because of what he already made mention in his statement. But again, we take opportunities like this kind of meetings, like this kind of consultation to be heard. We want this kind of events for us to be able to air what we need, whatever we want to raise. So, yeah, I think it's important to have a voice in whatever avenue. So OGP is really a great model, just to be able to impart whatever is necessary.
From the point of view of the Philippines being a longtime ally of the U.S., what do we have going for us for OGP? If we come to the U.S. and talk to them about OGP, what would it be? What would be our strength?
Maybe I'll just tell them that, we're a founding partner. You started it. We're moving forward. We're trying to push for the advocacy. We agreed with the commitment. So maybe just continue the OGP commitment and the agreement. Let's be family. We can do this.
There's one comment in the panel that I had attended, a fellow government official who made mention in answer to my question, and I asked that same question, and he said, we're a mature democracy, and mature democracies know what we stand for. Do you agree? And if so, what would be the strength of our own democracy that would support the advocacy of OGP? Yes,
I agree. Maybe we've always been democratic. So, Filipinos we are not weak. We're very resilient for that matter. So, we will try to push whatever is necessary, whatever is important to us. We will keep moving. We will keep the OGP community alive, whatever it is.
So from today, from whatever we collect from the takeaways and the outcomes, how do you take this forward and make sure that what happened here as a regional summit for the first time in the Philippines will be remembered and will be a milestone in the whole 13-year existence of OGP?
We're one of the pioneers wherein open government principles is incorporated in our national development plan. We institutionalize it. We made sure that the entire national government and even the local government units are part of the open government.
Catch the full interview on Thought Leaders now on Season 6 here on One News. You can also stream it on Facebook, YouTube, and Signal Play. Come up here on Money Talks. An AI summit is taking place in Europe. And U.S. President Donald Trump imposes higher tariffs on imported steel and aluminum.
It's really more of how much more can the BSP provide support to the local economy, to the local market. I mean, yes, 25 basis points is there, but given all the scenarios that we are facing,
Welcome back to Money Talks. I'm Cathy Yang. Here are the stories making headlines around the world. Developing story from Guatemala. At least 51 people are dead after a bus veered off a bridge and fell into a ravine. Authorities are still looking into what caused the accident. Guatemalan President Bernardo Arevalo has declared a 3-day period of national mourning. He has also deployed the country's army and disaster agency to assist in rescue efforts. Global stocks shrug off concerns about another round of tariffs imposed by U.S. President Donald Trump. U.S. stocks closed higher today, with energy companies posing the highest gains. The Europe 600 index also closed on a higher note, buoyed by the oil and gas sector. The U.S. dollar also rallied a third straight day. Trump has signed a proclamation imposing a 25% tariff on all steel and aluminum imports. China's retaliatory tariffs on some U.S. exports are now in effect. Choose Europe, choose France. This is the message of French President Emmanuel Macron as he urged stakeholders at a summit to invest in AI in Europe, particularly France. Macron says they will simplify regulations on AI to keep up with other countries. Macron cites the quick rebuilding of the Notre Dame Cathedral as an example of the pros of simplified regulation. The European Union's digital chief has also vowed to simplify rules on AI to be more business-friendly. Henna Viruknen told Reuters that we, quote, will cut red tape and administrative burden on AI companies. And speaking of AI, a group led by Elon Musk says it has offered $97.4 billion to buy the nonprofit that controls OpenAI. But its CEO, Sam Altman, quickly posted an X quote, "No, thank you." Musk has criticized an OpenAI project launched at the White House with great fanfare, suggesting that investors involved lack the funding for the project. The offer is expected to reignite tensions between Musk and Altman. The world is becoming increasingly volatile. Add to that our local political rifts in a midterm election year. So how do the markets respond to these challenges? Let's begin looking into the world markets. In the U.S., the Dow, the S&P 500, and the NASDAQ have all posed gains, as you can see there on your screens, all up marks there. And let's now take a look at the U.S. bond, and the rates as of yesterday are also looking up. And here's a chart of the effective federal funds rate from January 2024 to February 2025. With the BSP's monetary policy decision looming, here's a rundown of the latest reserve requirement ratios, or the triple R. So what does that all mean for our local markets? PSEI opening at 6,059.31. That is up about 0.4% in the first few minutes of trading. In fact, the first 15 minutes of trading. So let's check in on what's happening in the markets today for a second straight session. Monday's markets there had fallen for the first in as many sessions. A 25 basis point rate cut may be in the cards, but PhilStock's Financial's Japheth Tantiangco told us Monday the Bangko Sentral may be unable to go far enough after this round.
It's really more of how much more can the BSP provide support to the local economy, to the local market. I mean, yes, 25 basis points is there, but given all the scenarios that we are facing, the possibility of Trump imposing tariffs, which in turn could be inflationary to the U.S., which in turn could slow down the Federal Reserve with its own policy easing. How would that affect the BSP?
Our next guest says so much has changed over the past 21 days given the elevated volatility and uncertainty. Well, with us now for more is Rustin Mercado, Research Director at China Bank Securities. So good to see you
Hi,
again,
Cathy.
Rustin.
Nice to see you again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm happy to see an upmarket there.
Yeah, me too.
After all the Trump tariffs,
Yeah.
steel and aluminum. I mean, are they really shrugging it off? What's the feel in the local markets?
I think yesterday you did see that volatility, right? That's why we ended lower. So we think that factored into that. But I think more than anything, it's another Monday of tariff threats. So I think
Right.
markets had to digest that. So, and then I think you have reciprocal tariffs they're coming in as well. So I think right now markets are trying to price in what they can with respect to the changes to U.S. policy.
Right, and at the same time, we're watching the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas with its policy meeting. Everything that happens with the Bangko Sentral now depends on not just what the Fed does, but what Trump says about long-term government yields, treasuries. I mean, we never really saw it that way, but Trump has added that sort of an uncertain factor in.
Yep. So I think the good thing there is kind of it takes some pressure off of the Fed, because I think originally there was some he had opinions about policy making, but the good thing with moving into the focus on the 10-year is that he's actually that's something that he could try and control, or try and rein in, right? So I think what they're trying to do is, of course, first reduce the amount of government spending so that decreases the amount of deficit spending. They're also looking to lower inflation by ramping up production of energy. So hopefully, if that all pans out, then that could lead to that intended decline in the 10-year yield. And of
If
course,
that's the big
yeah.
if, right?
Yeah.
And how the Bangko Sentral really assesses everything. I mean, locally, we've got government yields falling, and the peso is quite stable. And the Philippine stock market hasn't really rallied by much.
Yeah.
I mean, you said 21 days have seen a totally different market
Yeah.
since we started the year.
Yeah. So I think in as much as the BSP is concerned, right, Street thinks that you'll probably see 50 to 75 basis points worth of cuts this year, right? And I think part of that obviously is what the BSP sees the inflation outlook is going to be for the year. So Street thinks that it's going to be stable, and that's what policymakers have been communicated as well, right? So that's all and good, and that kind of underpinned the optimism heading into this year. But I think the main uncertainty is now stemming from outside, which of course is the changes to U.S. policy. So I think really that has been that's like a concern throughout the year and possibly into next year. But more than that, I think recently you've had that noise around rebalancing. You have a couple more coming up. I think the MSCI is going to announce its rebalancing results tomorrow, and then I think another week later it's the FTSE, right? So that has been spurring some volatility, and if you did see declines in the PSEI, then you're expecting some downweights or probably some movements there as well.
Give us some perspective here, because to my knowledge and to the market's knowledge, whenever rates are coming off, then that's a sign to buy. Isn't it? Because there's a lot of money sloshing in the system, but it doesn't seem to be happening. There seems to be like a barrier there. I mean, why aren't we rallying to 8,000? I mean, Japheth, I was just speaking with him yesterday. He said, I'm looking at 8,000.
Yep.
And I'm like, I'm going to hold you to that. Because it's like, how do you connect those dots?
Okay, so I think if you look at history and the past rate cut cycles, I think in the past 8 cycles between the first cut and the first hike, the average return was around 20%. Right. So I mean, like that adds some credibility to the idea that we should rally given economic growth expectations coming up, right? So I think the problem now is, or the difference now is that you have rates coming down. Technically, it should be good for business to expand, so that keeps your growth prospects up. The problem is you head into that uncertainty of whatever happens to the U.S. has ripple effects across the world, and that feeds into business appetite for expansion, right? And even consumer expectations, or that could actually feed into inflation as well, right? Or inflation expectations. So I think it's really that's the looming kind of cloud for the rest of the year. And some street analysts in the US say that we could probably see the effects to inflation somewhere tail end of this year or into next, right? And that will feed into what our inflation expectations could be, right? So I think that's really where the cautiousness is coming from. But again, to your point, if those uncertainties kind of ease off, the rally that we saw in July to October of last year, that 6.5 all the way to 7.5, 7.6, that's certainly something that can happen again. The reason why we moved up from 7,000 to 7.5, 7.6 was actually foreign fund flows. So if those do come back, I think that we could see moves to that extent as well.
Okay, so make some sense of it all. Where do we put our money? Got to put our money somewhere. Is it stocks, bonds, or currencies?
Well, I think you need to always pay attention to stocks, right? There will always be opportunities in the market. I think, to be fair, bonds have been attractive because of how uncertain things are. You want some semblance of stability. But stocks can offer that. I think when we've been talking to clients recently, one thing that we've been trying to talk to them about was companies with high dividend yields, right? So there's that potential capital appreciation if the earnings do go up, and then you have that kind of safety of dividends, right? So in that sense, telcos are a good place to do that. Some power companies, Aboitiz Power, and banks in general also. And there's some semblance of resiliency as well with respect to the uncertainties around U.S. monetary policy, even us, right? So there's some offsetting factor between NIM compression and then loan growth prospects.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Rustine. I'll keep that in mind. Dividend plays down the road. Rustine Mercado of China Bank Securities. And when we return, we speak to Irish Ambassador to the Philippines, Emma Hickey. Catch that conversation coming up here on Money Talks. Megan and Lorna with their rendition of a traditional Irish dance in honor of St. Bridget Day and the first day of spring in the Western Hemisphere as we spend our final weeks in cooler climes here before summer starts to draw in the heat and humidity. Well, joining us now is Irish Ambassador to the Philippines, Emma Hickey. So good to have you with us, Ambassador.
Thanks so much,
Emma,
Cathy.
thank
Delighted
you
to
so
be
much
here.
for that opportunity to have a little bit of an Irish culture. I was thinking I should have some Bailey's Irish cream here on set. But tell us more about St. Bridget's Day and how important it is for you to bring that kind of culture here in the Philippines.
Yeah, thanks so much, Cathy, for having me. As we'd say in Ireland, Lá Féile Bríde, which is Happy St. Bridget's Day. St. Bridget's Day is a celebration of our female patron saint. And every year we mark the day celebrating women's talent and creativity. So this year we decided to bring to the Philippines some Irish traditional dance. And we're doing a fusion tonight with Filipina folk dance. I think it's very important that we try and bring our cultures together.
That's right. And I know you haven't come up to 6 months of your responsibilities here as Irish Ambassador. You've arrived sometime in September, I believe. Yes. How's that gone on over the last 6 months?
Oh, it's been fabulous.
What impressions do you have of the country?
Yeah, it's just so beautiful. The people, I think, like Ireland, are very warm and welcoming. So I've had an amazing time, really enjoying getting to know the country. I just came back last night. I visited Boracay. So really looking forward. I'm here for 4 years. So seeing more of the country, meeting your people and getting to know the culture a bit better.
What did you like most about Boracay?
Oh, the beaches are fantastic and the palm trees, very different. Again, Ireland is an island, just like the Philippines, but very different, I guess, nature and vegetation and the animals.
Yeah,
really
beyond culture, you've also brought in the chance to improve our bilateral relations. You've met the president last September when you presented your credentials. How has that come along and what sort of Irish companies can we expect and in which industries?
Yeah, so I think, Ireland and the Philippines last year celebrated 40 years of our bilateral relations, which are already very, very strong. I think there's some things here I think we can certainly enhance. The Philippines are reopening their embassy in Dublin, which is excellent, and I think will give us lots of opportunities. I think trade and investment is certainly something that I'm looking to prioritise here. We already have quite a vibrant number of Irish businesses, but I think there's a huge potential here for more. Again, Ireland is very well known for its food. So I think enhancing a little bit on that. You mentioned already cream, so I'm looking forward to seeing more Irish products on the shelves here.
But how tough is it going to be with Trump 2.0 with all the tariff, trade wars going on?
Yeah, I think we're all, of course, following very closely what's happening in the US, but Ireland is a very independent foreign policy and that won't change. And I think our priorities and strategy here in the Philippines will stay the same. We're a very reliable partner for the Philippines and we intend to continue that.
Well, we look forward to seeing more of that dance and a lot of the culture and more of your products. Thank you so much,
Thank
Ambassador.
you so much,
Appreciate
Cathy.
the time.
Delighted to be here this morning.
And that was the Irish Ambassador to the Philippines joining us here on Money Talks. And that's it for Money Talks. Catch us again tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. here on One News. We're also streamed live on YouTube and on our Facebook channels. If you haven't done so, like and follow my social media pages.